In this video, we will use Buyout Database Manager to create a database for buyout. The buyout database contains all of the information needed to manage your buyout packages through a buyout process. This information includes data that's used by all users of buyout. You typically will only require one buyout database, although you could have multiple depending on your needs. To get started, we'll click on Start and then the Event 1 Software Program Group, and then click on Buyout Database Manager. The first thing that we must do is identify the SQL server where the buyout database will reside. You can click the drop-down list, but notice that initially there are no entries already in the list. Click the refresh button to the right, and now the list is populated with all of the available SQL servers on your network. Select the desired SQL server, and then to create a database, we'll click on Create Database. Give the database a name, and click Create. Now that the database has been created, there's a little bit of additional configuration that we need to do. Click on the Configure button, and here we will specify the databases for the Sage estimating system and also the operations system and its databases, if any. The type of estimating system will of course be Sage estimating. We then need to identify the SQL server where the Sage estimating databases are stored. Again, we click the refresh button. And then click the SQL server. And then select the database for each one of the three types. So, estimates, address book, and standard items. Next, we'll click on the Operations System button and select the type of operations system that you will be integrating with. The first option is None. This simply means that there is no direct integration to any ERP system. Instead, Buyout will still allow you to create commitments and generate a comma-separated values file that contains commitment data, which you could then import into your target ERP system. For Sage 100 Contractor and Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate, however, there is direct integration. If you're using one of these two systems, simply select the desired system from the list, and then identify the database that contains your Sage 300 data. For Sage 100 Contractor, the process is similar, except that in this case, you will click on the Select button and first identify the SQL server that contains your Sage 100 Contractor database. Pay particular attention to the authentication type. If your server supports Windows authentication, you may leave it selected there. Otherwise, select SQL Server Authentication and enter your username and password. Finally, select the database. Once finished, click the Save button, and your configuration is now complete. The Buyout Database Manager application can also be used when upgrading to newer versions of Buyout where the version of the database has been incremented. In this case, the status would indicate Upgrade Needed, and you would simply click on the database and click on Upgrade Database. The Buyout Database Manager application can also be used to remove databases from the list. Notice that this cannot be undone. The database is deleted in this process. This could be useful if you have created a buyout database for training purposes, for example. You may wish to at some later point delete that database.